Hey everyone, welcome back to the European Challenger Series playoffs. It's time for our second quarterfinal matchup now, and the day is about to get started. Well, day's halfway done, but we're going to keep it going actually, because this match is about to get started. I can read. I promise you, it really happens sometimes. The third seed. I really just can't get it going today. It is the third seed Ocelots Gamers 2 against 6th seed Unicorns of Love. Thank you.
Nailed it. All right, Gamers 2, they should probably change their name to Gamers 3 because they finished third in Summer 1, they finished third in Summer 2, and they won the tiebreaker match for third place against SK Gaming Prime last week.
Yes, they did. It's wonderful. I'm glad you got that one out there. In that tiebreaker series, mid laner Ocelot and AD carry Yuki came up huge. They combined for a 7.2 KDA and beat SKP, who had just won the finals for Summer 2 the day before and looked unbeatable against Ninjas in Pajamas. And of course, they just won the match we saw like 25 seconds ago as well. So obviously a great team there. And of course, on the other side of the rift, though, is Unicorns of Love, who we haven't seen advance past the quarterfinals this summer, but they won an impressive tiebreaker series of their own against Playing Ducks for the final playoff spot.
Yeah, and it may sound bad that they haven't passed the quarterfinals all summer, but they had a bit of bad luck being paired up against the top-seeded Ninjas in Pajamas in both Summer Series 1 and 2. Against NIP, they're 0-4. And against everyone else, they're 6-0 this summer. So despite their record in quarterfinal matches, this won't be a walkover here for Gamers 2, despite being higher seed.
Yeah, Unicorns of Love actually look pretty good. So from top to bottom, Gamers 2 might have a more individually skilled lineup, but Unicorns of Love are a, honestly, very, very strong strategic team. They're extremely map-aware, probably more than most other Challenger teams right now. They're actually constantly thinking ahead. They're taking objectives that other teams aren't really thinking about. I've seen them constantly lose a dragon or lose a buff and make some kind of play elsewhere on the map. I really think UOL are a very smart team, even though we don't see much of them.
Yeah, the fact that they run into NIP twice and just had that bad bit of luck, then they ended up winning the 6th place spot here, so we're seeing them today. But they're really not, I don't want to say untested because they've been tested by NIP, but we just haven't seen the full extent of their power as a team. Because when I watch them, like you said, strategically sound, their ward placements and their ward just cohesion within their team, they're saying, let's ward this area a minute and a half in advance so we can go contest that, because then they start making map movements around that area. And it's really just something wonderful to see. So you guys have to keep an eye out for that during the match against Gamers 2.
Yeah. And you were mentioning as well, both these teams actually have been dropping to NIP as their I guess UOL dropped to them in the quarterfinals both times. Gamers 2, I believe, drew them in semis both times, or was it H2K once? I believe it was both semifinals were against NIP.
I don't think Gamers 2 has actually played against H2K.
Yeah, so
they almost
in
played
NIP
them in third, fourth place match, but then H2K forfeited.
That's right. So yeah, Gamers 2 have been, I guess both these teams then get beaten by NIP on their way down to the playoffs. But you're making your point, you were talking with me about it off air, that Unicorns of Love have actually looked better in their versus NIP match. Their KDAs hold up a little bit better, whereas Gamers 2 kind of look a bit worse for the wear afterwards. So sort of by that litmus test, it feels like UOL look a little bit better as well.
Yeah, the KDAs that come out for these teams, Unicorns of Love basically have twice the KDAs of their counterparts. Like, just for example, Hillisang has 4.21 after being trashed by NIP, but then if you look at the other side, you have guys with like a 1.85 KDA after matching up against NIP.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, Rydell, got to keep an eye on him, because last time we saw him, he was really gung-ho. He ended up playing the Blitzcrank and ended up kind of keeping his team in the game, but then costing them the game at the end by hooking in the Gragas that had an Orianna ball on him.
Right, yeah, we're talking about Gamers 2 new support here, by the way, if you don't follow the teams very closely. Yes. Gamers 2 have had a similar, or the same lineup for a very long time, and about a month ago, they replaced their old support with Rydell. And they attributed this change as an improvement in that Rydell had much better communication with Yuki, with the team overall, something they needed. Dude had said it was an individual skill downgrade, but that's with a grain of salt since that was a player who was benched here. Now, from what we saw, though, of Rydell was actually some kind of bad miscommunication. You're talking about Blitzcrank's hooks, where he was honestly hooking people without teammates around. And I kind of hope for their sake they've shored up some of their communication in the last couple of weeks. We haven't seen them since their NIP semifinal, so we have to see.
His hooks are crazy, and his ability to land the hooks, nobody's questioning that. It's just when you get to that higher level, your ability to land the hook on the perfect target and also to time it when there's nobody around him, or like 3 people walk away and everybody's trying to disperse, and you hook them in, or the fact that your team is coming up right behind you at the same time. Like, there's a lot of things that go into Blitzcrank. It's not just blindly hooking somebody over a wall.
Absolutely not. What we're going to see is picks and bans come through. Oriana, Yasuo, and Morgana all removed away from Unicorns of Love, whereas Cassid and Gragas and Nidalee are all removed, so JWoww not going to get that top nid. New picks and bans coming through here.
I'm really surprised. If they go with the Lucian here, it means that their emphasis is on their AD carries and not on their top laners, because both these top laners play Maokai, and it's heavily contested.
I'm going to see Vizicachi hover over on the Syndra here, though, for Power of Evil. Looks like lock in that plus Thresh there, so Ocelot's not going to get a Syndra here. Contested pick gone.
Wow, there's a lot of just dispersion here in what people consider as a top priority. Last game we saw it being, or last series we saw it being the jungle Rengar. Now we're seeing it be AD carry, mid lane, support here as priority picks, and also as contested picks to just lock them up and take them away from your enemy.
So Hylissang gonna get himself a Thresh, and it's gonna be all kinds of fun, but UOL not showing much aside from really good early game pressure. We've seen great Thresh plays so far today, and we've seen Syndra do very well for herself as well. Power of Evil, definitely a strong player. We're gonna see what Ocelot can do to battle up against that one, though.
Yeah, he's been playing a lot of Ahri lately. He's been playing a lot of Xerath, and I don't know how much you want to play Ahri into Syndra. We just saw that matchup, and the wave clear and the gank assistance from Syndra early on is a little bit better than Ahri's, just slightly.
True. Yeah, I definitely agree. More than they're going to lock in Lee Sin for himself, and we're going to see a top lane Maokai also come through for JWoww here. So Gamers 2 getting a lot of champions they would really like, but if we look at the picks and bans from last time, the Jarvan, the Rengar also still available. Tristana comes in for Vardogs, who has been playing pretty much entirely hyper carries so far in the Challenger Series. He gets another one for himself.
Yep, Vardags is going to try to put his team on his back again. He did play some Graves, he did play some Corki, but he's really going to try to buckle down and play the Tristana. The last time we saw him in Summer Series 2, he was trying to carry his team a bunch past NIP, but then Summer Series 1, he didn't get that opportunity because there was another person in for him at that time, I believe, that they didn't get to use. I think it was Sir Scott.
Sir Scott, and yeah, that was a bit of a rougher run for them, but Vardog's going to do whatever he can here. And I take it back, he has been playing a lot of the laners as well. You talk about Corki and Lucian coming through, Graves as well, part of that pool, but does jump into the hyper carry here on Tristana. Jarvan is actually going to be nice because he's a great early game ganker to set this lane up, but also that flag is just so darn good for making AD carries stronger, so I do like to pick up there. We're seeing the Alistar hover now for Rydal and the Ahri maybe for Ocelot, and those will get locked in.
Yeah, I think the Alistar is something that Rydal's been favoring lately. I actually have it bolded here because I love that champion. I think that that's what he was going to pick coming into this matchup, because of the fact that at level 6, you're basically as powerful as level 16 Alistar was before the buff to him. So his effectiveness early on in the game makes him just an even better support.
Yeah, and it's going to be a lot of tower diving power available here to Gamers too. Lucian, a great lane bully. Ahri's got a lot of room to roam around the map. Lee Sin, great ganker as well. But Unicorns of Love want to go for the Irelia top lane, by the way. We've seen this, I think, a number of times. I know Dyrus plays it in NA, and pretty much every European top laner that ever existed plays Irelia. And Irelia versus Maokai, I do personally like as a matchup. I think she can bully him around and basically force a split push game plan.
Yeah, so what I've been hearing about this matchup is that Irelia is the counter pick to Maokai because you have the tenacity from your passive. The fact that Maokai's kit is mainly CC based, along with his 2 slows and his root. But then at the same time, you don't always build a whole bunch of health items, so the effective percentage HP shred isn't that great. And she sustains without really casting a spell. And
True.
Maokai needs spell casts in order to get his own sustain. You'll pop your hit 10 style, maybe 1 spell. You still get regular just auto sustain 2 on top of it.
Exactly.
So Irelia can trade very effectively and sustain off minions without giving Maokai sustain himself, which is a big part of why he's such a lane bully, is his trading over a long period of time.
Yeah, and also to keep in mind that ulti, that 20% damage reduction, does not block true damage. So the hit 10 style active is going to cut right through that as well. And Irelia can do some pretty good damage here. We'll see if this does pan out. Vizicachi opens up with Doran's shield.
She kind of exposes a little weakness in his armor because she's split push based with some team fighting backup later on and some diving, whereas Maokai is pretty much all team fighting. His split push is not abysmal, but it's pretty bad. His dueling potential is way too long. He's kind of a staller.
Yeah.
He'll stall you in the top lane and wait for the team fight to start, then he'll try to TP to it. But that's really his gimmick.
He's got great gank follow-up as well.
Yes,
so if you try to push his turret down and suddenly Lee Sin shows up, you can set that kill up pretty nicely. Something to keep in mind. Morden gets a half-aggressive ward down there, but looks like neither team are going to get wards to spot the jungle starts of their opponents. Just very safe openings where they both want basically hidden junglers.
Yeah, really, really safe openings here. I just want to kind of set this up again. UOL, we really haven't seen the extent of their power or their teamwork because of NIP. And Gamers 2, kind of the same story. They keep getting stunted by NIP, but they just beat SKP in a tiebreaker match, which we just saw NIP lose to SKP. We saw H2K lose to SKP, and we just saw SKP dominate in 2 games.
Yeah, Gamers 2 honestly have a decent enough track record, taking down quarterfinal opponents, doing all kinds of good stuff. They do have a good amount of experience under their belt and a lot of results to show for themselves. Bot lane's both going to show up in lane at a normal time, no leash showing. Both junglers will start on the top left side of the map, so they'll be level 3 down by this bottom lane. And both of them getting small leashes from their top lane.
There's a lot on the line here, too, for both these teams. If you lose in the quarterfinals, you're completely out. If you make it to the semifinals, you get some grace and forgiveness because you go to a 3rd or 4th place match. The winner of that will be able to go to the LCS promotion tournament. A lot on the line here for these 2 teams. And Ocelot, you know he's been putting a lot of work and effort into this team. It's a brand he made.
Looks like bot lane's going to stay completely equal, 5 to 6 in CS, but this second wave is the one to watch for. Still 1 charge here for Hylissang. Goes going to play in on the Yuki, but takes a big Q back to the base and a double pulverize from Rydell. Going to make you really wonder if that was worth it at all.
The level 2 is going to come out a little early here. That people get it for the other side.
All right, so back to equal stuff right here, and the Q comes out. Yuki, though, still landing good harass. Tristana did not use her potion yet. And we're going to see Gamers 2 with the ever so slight lead here in this lane, but otherwise pretty close to treading water.
Bottom lane, ward does go down, so Gilius will be seen if he makes a movement bottom. He does ping, and he'll probably run into Morden here.
Oh, he spots him.
Yeah.
Ha! Hit that ward.
That's going to give Morden some freedom to farm his Wraiths up. And the bottom lane is just bullied.
Yeah, you're seeing the lead slightly grow here for the Lucian, and honestly, it's what you expect out of the matchup, but, you know, if you don't hold a Tristana down too far, ooh, nice stun there from Power of Evil. Ocelot.
Yeah, this matchup isn't really that friendly towards Aries. What we've been seeing all day.
Yeah, it is a really unfriendly matchup.
The fact you can stun her through minions and trade with her through minions, where most of her abilities will target minions pretty quickly. The charm is blocked by them. Only her Orb of Deception is the one that will go through.
And we're seeing basically Power of Evil, as well as the matchup just about an hour ago, was going great for the Syndra. So one thing that Ocelot might want to keep in mind is his new sort of favorite champion might just not be worth picking if he fights another Syndra anytime soon. But maybe he finds a way to turn it around later on. Of course, you can always dash away from the stun, dash away from the combos, and land your own first back. So we'll have to see as it plays out.
It would explain the emphasis on Syndra and Champion Select for Unicorns of Love coming into this, getting it for Power of Evil. It was actually somebody we haven't seen on the roster for a bit, because before it was a Nikki. Just realizing that now.
Yeah.
When you said Power of Evil and Champ Select, I was like, okay, yeah.
I remember seeing the name before, though.
Yes, he's been on some teams before. I think he may have been on Unicorns of Love before a Nikki, but then Nikki was back on it for the Summer Series 2.
That makes sense. So I was like, yeah, because in the sheet it's like, it's a Nikki, but I was like, but I'm pretty sure I remember his name. Either way, he's the man who's playing right now. Morden getting in behind Ocelot, but they can't seem to find a gank. This game a little bit more slow-paced. The lane's much more evenly matched right now.
Yeah, and the last time we did see Power of Evil, he loved the Syndra pickup. It was kind of like having Laud if you're an NA Challenger Series player. Have Syndra. Very similar.
Definitely a great player on this one. Looks like the bottom lane is actually equalized back out here, so we're ultimately seeing junglers play maintenance, a little bit of counter jungling there from Morden as well. Power of Evil not able to make his way too far into this lane, just very slight minion leads for Unicorns of Love. They are overall up about 200 to 300 gold as a team, but otherwise we're just kind of having a bit of a slow laning phase. Quick pause here in this game. We'll be back into it before too long. You guys are playing in our studio in Cologne, by the way.
Yeah, so they'll have immediate attention, immediate help with whatever's going on. Refs right over their shoulders. But yeah, we saw some ganks that were coming in pretty quickly.
Yeah, they are about ready to go. So we've not yet seen much happen in this game, though. As you mentioned, ganks were about ready to come in. We'll get to those when they actually happen. But otherwise, a pretty standard opening to the game. One quick recall did come in for Vizicachi on the Aurelia. Double Doran's Blade, I like that a lot, actually. I like top laners who go a couple of Dorans early on and use them to try to push a lane advantage. By the end of the day, it's only a 400 gold dip when you're looking at like 3,700 gold items like Trinity Forces. Like, you don't really delay yourself that much, but the fact that you can push people off of CS or off of experience or force battery recalls, that's usually worth the 400 gold investment.
Yeah, and the fact it gives you pretty much all the combat stats you'll need in the early game.
Yeah.
It's extremely cost effective because it doesn't build anything into anything else, and you can sell it later.
Yeah.
And you don't take actually as big a dip as 400 gold.
You lose 250 gold by the end of it all, but you'll keep it for a while. It's basically like buying a really long duration elixir.
Yes.
That's what I consider extra Dorans as. You'll typically lose them by the end of the game, and you typically have to invest that 250 or 300 sunk cost, but it's just like a 35-minute long elixir. Dorans are pretty darn good.
Yeah, that sits in your inventory and burns a hole in it when you want to build a bigger item.
That's true. And then you have you want to get wards, but you have like half the fan advance you, and you're just like, but I
gotta sell your Dorans.
You gotta sell it early, and you just feel
bad. And then
bad.
you buy a couple wards with the money you made from
That's
selling.
true, and it's not the end of the world. So okay, honestly, a pretty uneventful laning phase though. It's getting to, I guess, 5:45 into the game, so in about a minute and a half, the buffs respawn. If this was SKP playing, I would almost guarantee they go for a blue buff invade.
Yeah, they did that pretty much every time they had a timer on it. And at the 7-minute mark, they were already poised to do it. Around actually the 6-minute and 45-second mark, they'd place a ward down, they'd back up and be like, all right, the jungler's going to come here in a second. And then they were right on top of it every time. It was really well played by SKP. I want to see if Gamers 2 does something similar.
Yeah, honestly, it just kind of depends because one thing that went SKP's way was the fact that they were winning in their lanes, the fact that the Riven was so dominant, was pushing all the time. And even with the Twisted Fate versus Ahri matchup that we saw in Game 2, even that was able to push out, and it was honestly really well played by SKP to make that happen. But the one difficulty is that I feel like Jarvan invading and release in is a bit risky. For UOL, that said, Gamers 2 could do it. Maokai seems to be doing pretty well with his AoE spam. And Ahri's been honestly pushing. Ocelot's been pushing into the Syndra, relying on the fact that Morden's going to be around to back him up at some point. So it actually feels to me like G2 are the aggressive team. They seem to be the aggressors right now, but the problem is they're actually not last hitting as well as Unicorns of Love actually are.
Yeah, and then it's that type of thing that was an advantage that SKP would push. Now, a big thing here is Unicorns of Love. They could make a play for that blue, like we were talking about it, if you keep the aggression up in the top lane and you don't let Maokai use that gold that he has. You only have to stall him for about a minute, then you collapse, and then you'll be completely fine just invading it. And you'll have those extra combat stats in your inventory over him, which is something you want to push and you want to create into a bigger advantage.
And I actually wonder the status of the teleport in Vizicachi. I want to say he TP'd back into the lane because you don't really need your TP between minute 4 and 9 usually. And that's a pretty safe way to teleport back in. And again, he'd gotten right back in the lane, right? 85 current gold on the player. Obviously, he went right back for the double Dorans, goes back in the lane right away. And yes, as you just mentioned, if you can stop the recalls back from Maokai, you have a basically 1,000 gold worth of combat stats advantage in the matchup, which is actually massive this early.
Yes.
It's a significant amount of extra damage and durability. And yes, this could all snowball into a really, really nice fight where UOL just has more stats. They can time their recalls at maybe 6.5 minutes off of their mid lane as well, maybe their jungler to get some new wards, and you can really set up that kind of a play where everybody's ready to fight. In about 30 seconds, you've got your new items, you shove that last wave out, and you say, there's no way you can fight us.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you should do with a tiny advantage and just kind of make it a larger one. Just push where you can. It's like, I have 200 more gold than the other person. Okay, pink ward, green ward. Let's make an advantage somewhere by having the vision control over an area. Then get a buff from them, get a dragon from them, exploit weakness, things like that. Or see where their jungler is so you can gank the bottom lane. Things like this just snowball into larger leads. And if you can set up for them, they don't just fall into your lap. You do have to set up for them.
Yeah, and what I also like about the way that gold leads sort of work is unless you get that lead by getting a kill specifically, it doesn't mean anything intrinsically because you still have to recall back to buy items, and because you're sitting on gold, gold is not intrinsically combat stats. So you actually have to somehow force your lane out and make things happen in order to allow yourself to recall safely. Otherwise, they get a lane push on you or they take a dragon on you or something like that, and they equalize all that advantage back. So I do want to see how these guys play around it. 6 minutes in, Vizicachi did TP back to lane. Same for JWoww, who now has Catalyst, which I say is still not the same combat stats as Triple Doran's, but in a lane situation will keep you sustained.
Yes, that's what he wants to do, is he wants to survive the laning phase. He wants to excel and get into that late game. We're talking about gold being intrinsically worthless. It is in every regard. It's just the shopkeeper values it.
It's true. And minions carry it around for some reason. They can't even buy items.
God. They just have so little, they can't even afford a potion.
I think it's like the Nexus is kind of like a government program where it just gives all the poor minions extra gold.
And then they go and fight?
They got drafted.
Oh.
Yeah.
That one had a family. That one had a family. That one did.
Oh, wow. That's fine. There have actually been a number of parody songs around those poor minions. And, like, basically, you know, them being underrated and the minions getting taken advantage of all the time. And how sad they are that, you know, daddy minion's going off to run and fight. You're never going to see him again. And you lie to the little baby minions that he's going to be back, and he's not.
What if he's one of the ones that blows up the Nexus, though? He's a minion.
Okay, so 1 out of every, like, 500 minions survives the end of the game.
Only 500?
Roughly.
Is that like a... It's got to be like a 20-minute game right there.
I mean, you figure there's, like, what... Even on the losing team, there's, like, that whole wave that doesn't die right at the very end because the game stops right away. I actually wonder the statistic. What percentage of minions survive the end of the game?
Very, very small. It's very small.
I know.
Maybe like 1%?
Well, let's see.
Less than 1. I would say less than 1.
Well, I said 1 every 500, so that's already 0.2%.
Yeah, because like every wave by about 20 minutes would have about like
36 minions a minute.
Yeah.
Not counting cannons, just to make it easier on the math. 36 a minute. 30-minute game is about 1,000 minions, right? 30-minute game, 1,000 minions.
And there's probably like maybe 10, 20.
More than 10. Because if you kill the Nexus, you've got like 4 waves pushing out of your base.
If you have a bunch of super minions, then you probably have like 30.
Yeah. So 1,000 minions, 30-minute game. Yeah. About
0.3.
30-ish are alive.
Yeah. 3%.
About 1 of every 500. That's 0.2%.
Yeah, it's 0.2.
My blind guess was correct. Yeah. I'm like really happy about that.
Yeah.
1 out of every 500 minions survives the game.
1 out of every 500. You got to win the lottery.
It's a pretty unfortunate.
Oh my God.
See, but then here's the question though: does that minion spawn in the next game, or is he good? Does he retire?
Oh God, he spawns.
Does that
in the
minion
next
get to
game?
retire?
He leads the charge in the next game. He is the first team.
Unless he was a super minion, or the survivor super minions.
They just get promoted, and they're just sitting in the.
I mean, you survived a game on Summoner's Rift. There's level 18 champions running around.
I wonder what the lore is behind that, because why, when you destroy their inhibitor, do you get super minions?
Because it inhibits the production of super minions.
But like, in what ways? Did the crystal just like?
Yes.
Okay.
Whatever it is, whatever you're going to say, the answer is yes.
Is it preventing the little guys from jumping into the big machines and moving them?
Like imagine the crystals. So this is not canon, by the way. Ironically, there are canon minions in the game. See. Also, why don't the Nexus just summon only canon minions? They're so much more powerful in the first place.
They're expensive.
I mean, yeah, they're worth like 3 times as much gold.
You think the blue team's made of money? No.
I mean, still, I would drop my caster minions just to bring a cannon in there. Like, whatever. But anyway.
Caster minions get killed sometimes.
They do. Especially the purple ones. Those things are broken.
Yeah.
Purple caster minions, the best minions in the game. It's okay, though. But anyway, my theory on inhibitors is that super minions are actually solar powered. And the inhibitor puts really big clouds over the lane so that they are inhibited. You know, they don't get energy.
Solar powered, huh?
Yeah.
I was going to go with something more like the crystal inside has magic that prevents the movement of those constructs.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could go for the fantasy. It has magic, thus it works route.
Boom.
Wow, we've never used that one before.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, you're really original. Their explanation is magic. Oh, thanks, Cyrene. You should be a writer.
A writer?
I know.
Boom, back into the game. Perfect timing.
Great.
We'll see who gets the first inhibitor, and then we'll
We'll discuss further.
Cloud will disappear, or the magic will be listed. So we saw a failed gank in the middle.
Yep.
We now see the blue buff respawning. The first rotation of buffs is now gone. The second one is starting up. And now Ocelot hitting 6. Power of Evil hitting 6. This lane is about to explode with some aggression.
Speaking of aggression, though, top lane, Vizichachi getting attacked there by JWoww. He's actually basically ignoring and hitting minions instead, though. But Vizichachi is actually out of mana already, so JWoww seems to be punishing this lane pretty decently. Ocelot down about 10 CS in this lane, though, is not exactly ideal, and he missed that entire caster wave.
It's difficult to CS under turret Azari.
It really can be. Because right now, he doesn't quite, I think, put caster minions at the one-shot mark. Q will do it.
Gonna take him to...
Okay, no. Now he does. At 7 he can. At 6 you can't. At 6 you can just do it.
Invade here. Gamers 2 on the blue buff.
They want a nice two-man stun, though, and Rydell's got to flash away. This was a bit over-aggressive, and there comes Vardogs. Can he do enough? Rydell burned his Pulverize. Looks like they will just run away. Ocelot not going to land a charm.
Wow, so the aggression there was actually meant they weren't in the right situation to do that. Usually you'll make a play like that if you push the bottom lane out.
Well, I liked what happened there in that play, though, because G2 realized the jungle routes and said, we can get blue, then get to yours by the time you try to fight it. And they tried to use Ocelot's blue buff advantage to win the battle, but it couldn't quite happen.
Yeah, Ocelot didn't really even get into that fight. He was around the corner, but he didn't throw a single spell out, I believe.
Yeah. They're hoping that he could get into the fight in time. Like I think that was the read, though. Like, it's a cool idea, it just couldn't quite happen.
Yeah, Power of Evil didn't have his ultimate up, so they could have wrecked some havoc in there with Gamers 2. But
he burned it on Alistar.
Yeah, he used his ultimate.
Yeah.
He used it on Alistar. He tried to blow up Rydell, but Rydell got away with the flash at the end of it.
Again, JWoww pushing in on Vizichachi, who is taking some decent damage. So, you know, we talked about Aurelia being a bit of a bully there, but JWoww doing a great job of winning the fight straight up.
Yeah, once Aurelia hits some item spikes, that's when she'll be able to flourish. She's very item dependent and level 9 dependent. Kid. Morden actually sneaks into the brush, I believe. Nope, he puts a ward down and then he walks away. So he sneaks into the tri-brush.
Now, Gilius was watching really closely. He'd actually see that ward go down, but I don't think he did. He didn't see that either, though. Morden comes in for the dive. We got Jarvan right behind him. There's the flash, dodges the Q because of it. Knock up onto Maokai. Morden has aggro. Now JWoww does. The Cataclysm goes in. JWoww does not have a way of getting out of this one. Pops the ulti to heal himself back up, but the Q from Gilius is enough. First blood, Unicorns of Love.
And Power of Evil looked like he wanted to rotate up top. He has his ultimate available again, but a great follow-up there by Gilius to get first blood for his team and allow Vizichachi to back under pressure and just completely relieve that situation. He's now up in CS and has a wave for himself on top of it.
That is big. The Phage has done a Sapphire Crystal as well for good measure. And look at this. He wants to set up a lane freeze now to try to really hurt JWoww. With no escapes left on Maokai, a repeat Jarvan gank would be fatal.
Yeah, and that's why Aurelia is really good against Maokai, because if you ever dive, you're going to have problems. But look at this. Morden.
Power of Evil kicked up. The Q's going to land, but there's no quite way in. I feel like Morden could have kicked maybe a little bit sooner, but not the case there. Ocelot, no real follow-up. Only down 6 minions, though.
Yeah, the ultimate used there from both Morden and Ocelot. They're going to have to wait on those again. But also, Morden went for the early combat stats. He's looking for plays very similar to that. And Unicorns of Love, they're going to start up this dragon because they saw Morden take a chunk.
Power of Evil landing really good damage on the Ocelot as well. That's pretty glorious stuff. Rydell coming by on the side that puts the ward down. Looks like he is not in position to stop this, though. Unicorns of Love gonna get first blood as well as first dragon here. And they're up 2,000 gold.
And looking really good in this early game. They have CS leads in the top lane as well as the mid lane. The bottom lane is the only one that's not going their way right now. And that's really mostly because Lucian versus Tristana is that way.
Yeah, Lucian's going to be like this, but hey, both have BFs, so not a bad place to be. No Q from Morden, no E either. Gilius staying safe. Vizichachi trying to beat up JWoww. Now the heals, though, pretty strong. Vizichachi forced to kite away from the ulti, trying to make him burn. Man, a nice Q up to the other side, and he doesn't take much damage for this.
That was cute.
Yeah, it was.
Went to the complete other side and actually didn't have JWoww end up next to him. Under the twisted advance.
Keep pretty safe there. Good stun there. Power of Evil. He's going to land. Ignite the ulti as well. Ocelot burns flash and still goes down. Power of Evil forced to flash away from Morden's Q, though.
That's kind of how this matchup goes. Ocelot picking the Ahri into the Syndra. The burst potential is really high, and the defensive options of Ahri are very limited. And now the DFG complete on Power of Evil, it's just going to be even worse.
Ooh, good warthog away from Morden, though. He's going to kick him out of the Cataclysm. Nice play there by all people involved. Gilius actually flashes and doesn't get anything for it, though. That was a very weird flash by him. I think he forced Morden's flash, too, though.
Ooh, Rydell getting hooked. Yeah, he probably flashed to try and get the last Q off, try to Dragon Strike him.
More damage there from this Lucian. Those bot lanes pretty aggressive right now, and Yuki plus Rydell are doing well in this matchup. 114 CS in 13 minutes is pretty decent. Plus all the turret pressure and pushing him out of lane is good.
Yeah, and now Yuki going to clear the wave out, get to that turret again. They forced Bardags and Hylissang both back. It's a really big boon for this team right now in Gamers 2, because if they can get this bottom lane going and create an advantage there, that'll get them what they need to contest the next dragon, to just continue the pressure. Right now, Unicorns of Love, on the flip side, they have some really good advantages right now in that DFG completion in the mid lane for Power of Evil.
And honestly, this is going to be interesting to watch for then, because you're going to have a couple of items actually come through for this Lucian. He is up basically the Cloak of Agility here on Vardogs. If he times it right, he could have the Infinity Edge lead as well. And that could make life very painful facing up against this Lucian. See if they can do that one. But right now, Unicorns of Love have just been the better team overall. The assist on Vizichachi, who's now up 20 minions as well. This Aurelia can really start crushing this matchup. Blue buff, pretty safe to Power of Evil.
And now he has his rank 2 ultimate DFG versus Ocelot. Ocelot is most likely a goner. Even with the Athene's Unholy Grail and the Doran's Blade, or Doran's Ring he has, he would just get chunked out with the DFG full combo here.
So, gotta be careful then. Power of Evil's ulti is up, but no ignite.
He's going to start creating a zone of potential around him where you don't want to even get close to the range.
Oh no.
So most of the time, Ocelot will be on his turret trying to farm.
Good attempted hook there, but Hylissang not gonna quite land it though. Ooh, the stun's gonna land though. There's the Q, there's the W, there's the ulti plus DFG. Ocelot burns ulti to get out, but you can see how much damage that deals.
Yeah, I don't think he hit him with the initial Q either, because he placed the first Q down to start the Scatter the Weak stun. If he had hit him with that one, it most surely would have been death.
Now you're seeing actually Vardogs do a much better job in the bottom lane though, despite being down the crit. Bullied around by Thresh as well. Gamers 2 doing what they can. No sweepers up except for the mid lane here, which is not going to make it easy for Lee Sin to gank in the bot lane.
He actually walks around.
He does.
And they're still looking for this gank. They're looking for this play. They're going to have to go after Hylissang though.
Look how good his wards are, though. The very edge of this brush, up by the tri-brush as well. There's a ward in Dragon Pit. There's no good way for Lee Sin to get in on this gank. And there's the flash pulverized, though. The knockback on Hylissang. Here comes Lee Sin as well. Do they have the damage? TP coming in for both top laners. Knockback onto Yuki. There's a lander, but can he get in? Looks like he wants Yuki if he can. Flashes in, gets the kill, jumps back over, but gets knocked back by the Maokai Q. That is a kill picked up now by Jaywa, who still wants to fight. And Vizichachi could be the next to fall, and it is. Morden claims the second kill of this fight. Nicely done, Gamers 2.
The double TP, but meanwhile, in the mid lane, Ocelot gets picked off.
Wow, the kill from Power of Evil plus Gilius, the Cataclysm used for that one. Nowhere for Ocelot to go. His ulti was still down, I believe. 2 for 2 overall on the map, and now this mid lane turret getting pressured.
Yeah, and no ultimate or DFG used from Power of Evil in that kill. So he's going to have it available for the next possible kill on the Ocelot. There's a lot of pressure on this Ahri in this matchup. I don't know why he picked it into it.
Yeah, it's not going very well, man. Power of Evil doing so well.
Hit that ball with the Scatter the Weak mid-air.
Yep. So, UOL crushing the mid lane, doing pretty well in the top lane, but JWoww, such a good team fighter. You saw that TP was just much more useful.
Yeah.
That's a microcosm of this game, by the way. Mid lane, hard 1v1. Top lane, very hard 1v1. But G2 have much better team fight with those teleports. I think the kind of thing is going to keep happening in this game.
Yeah, and I talked about the matchup between Aurelia and Maokai. Aurelia wants to split push and then have some team fight assist, but Maokai wants to be in every team fight possible, stalling and wave clearing, and then TPing when there's an objective available or a fight that breaks out. That's his contribution to this team composition. And speaking of contribution, Morden clearing out a ward, but he's getting pinched in here.
Stun not going to land Vizicachi, waiting for the ward hop, but he's going to get cut off by JWoww.
Big thing, though, is that Dragon is up now, and the fact that Warden's on the top side of the map signals to the rest of it. If they get a pick bottom, Unicorns of Love will go straight for this.
You can see they're looking for it right here. Minions go down, puts the lantern, gonna get grabbed real quick by Vardogs. This is a very obvious attempt towards Dragon, but there's no one right at the top, and who cares?
Yeah, they saw Morden top. They know that it's basically a free Dragon for UOL. They've been up this game in gold the entire time, 3,000. Now, they're gonna get even more for themselves, making it about a 4,000 gold lead. Really big for Unicorns of Love, based off of objectives.
Exactly. It's been very, very good objective control by this team. They are going to look to give up this top lane outer turret as payment for the Dragon here. But I can't say you're going to be too sad about that one. Vizicachi should be able to, at some point, equalize that turret game. And heck, with nothing to teleport for, he could freeze that lane as well and make it even worse for JWoww. Looks like red buff going to be contested here. Now, no one from G2 going to stop this.
G2, I don't know how good of a time they're going to have in this, because Ocelot is a very emotional player when he plays. He's very momentum-based, and when he gets behind like this, it's really hard to tell what Gamers 2 are going to do, because they won the team fights. Their objective control, though, is really off right now. They need to start getting more of that and start locking down and buckling down and having the ward coverage, because UOL, we gave them a little shout-out at the start about their ward coverage in their objective game, which is better than most challenger teams at this level. The fact that they are coming in 6th to this is not a real representation of how good they are.
It's true. It's a false seed. I mean, they could have had a better run in the Challenger Series 1 or 2 themselves by having a better ranked 5 seed. You actually are guaranteed to dodge an incumbent if you're number 1 in the ladder. But UOL, unfortunately, seeded directly into Ninjas in Pajamas based on their rank 5 performance. But you're seeing them, because they did qualify for round of 8 both times, did make the playoffs, and fighting now through the 6th place seed, doing well so far.
Spotted Gilius.
Ooh, yes they did. He swept out a ward. He doesn't know he spotted is the thing. Yeah. He thinks he snuck in.
It was just the side of it. It was a really, really just small point of vision.
Yep.
They got mid turret for themselves for Unicorns of Love. Top turret for Gamers 2. Now, Ocelot, he's actually going to have an easier time farming because that turret is now non-existent.
Look at these pings, though. They know that he's snuck in. Nice Q by Morden. He's going to stay safe away from Jarvan. Bot lane under pressure. The hook not quite going to land. Hylissang not quite guessing. The flash pulverized. There's the headbutt. He tries to get away as fast as possible. Does so. Trade of flashes on the supports. Vardogs, though, he looks to be so aggressive here. Doing just fine.
I feel like Rydell is going to make the type of plays this game that he's making on Blitzcrank, where it's like, I either win it for my team 100% or I toss it for my team. And right now, that play, he got Hylissang's flash.
Yeah.
And now, actually, Ocelot has to deal with Gilius in the mid lane, not with Syndra. He doesn't have to deal with Power of Evil, who's been roaming around and trying to create pressure on side lanes. So this is going to give Ocelot a little bit of wiggle room in the CS department.
It does, and you see he catches up within 12 minions. He's been killed twice in the lane and is still holding on to the matchup. It's actually pretty impressive to do such a thing. Vizicachi pushing around JWoww now a little bit there. Trinity Force is done to the Rod of Ages and most of Frozen Heart.
Didn't get him with the charm, so he didn't follow up with the rest of his abilities correctly. But speaking of this, following up, Gilius, he's looking for JWoww.
Says, hey, that's a ward. Someone's right there. That's a ward.
Doesn't go.
Sweepers down. 4 sweepers picked up on both teams already by 20 minutes. Useful to have those. Supports basically everybody AD carry. Who are too lazy to kill wards.
Yeah. Should get them scrying orb.
They should.
Also, another big thing here is that the item thresholds in the top lane. Vizicachi, he has his Trinity Force completed, so he's in a really good spot. You can see him start bullying JWoww, but JWoww is really close to completing his Frozen Heart, which is really effective against Aurelia.
It super is. It's good against Triss, too. It's even decent against Jarvan. So the thing to keep in mind is even better teamfight utility going to be around for JWoww here. The lower cooldowns will also let him, even though you talked about Aurelia not casting many spells to give him the sap magic, he can cast his own spells. And with CDR, he's going to be able to cast even more of them. So not the end of this world for this Maokai. He is holding on in this matchup. Only down 2. The ulti in onto Ocelot. Wow, nearly one shot. If only he had ignited, that was a kill for Power of Evil.
Didn't use the ignite. 70 HP on Ocelot. Spirit rushing out of that fight. Really, really crazy how much damage Power of Evil does. One full combo.
Yeah.
This also prevents Ocelot from roaming, because if he goes off to the side and there's no vision and he tries to follow Power of Evil, who's already roamed, he can just sit in the side bush and full combo Ocelot.
Yeah.
At will.
It's a scary place to be if you're Ocelot right now, man. But if he can get out of those lanes, though, and get out before Power of Evil, he can actually make plays here.
Ooh, he's going to try to go even with him, and he's going to get his own DFG here on Ocelot.
Oh, man. Ocelot's trying real hard for this. Also going for Merc Treads, interestingly enough. So the MR might just help him. The one-shotting power might help as well. We'll see if he can get that one. Again, a trade for Vizichachi versus JWoww. JWoww just wants to get into this fight, though. Hidden Style only does so much damage, and look at that. Maokai actually wins that trade as well. So if Aurelia's supposed to power up this matchup, she's not doing it yet.
Yeah, he's got Merc Treads now. He's also got his Trinity Force, but the Frozen Heart completed for JWoww, so that's a big power spike for the Maokai in cooldown reduction, and also against the Aurelia's attack speed. Speaking of power spikes, Power of Evil with the Rabbidan's Death Cap.
Oh, man.
On top of his Sork Shoot.
Okay, he'll one-shot Ocelot now.
Yep.
The Charm, though, Gillia's got to be a bit careful. Gets a shield and hops right out with the Lantern.
Dragon in 20 seconds. Unicorn's Love already in positioning for that. It's just like we talked about. This team moves really well.
Well, but to be honest, G2 is pretty much around there. There's actually no Tristana just yet. Ocelot forced to hold the mid lane, though. Pink ward down. Bit of ward sweeping and UOL. Will they go for this one? Both top lanes actually going to recall first before they go for this one.
No blue on Ocelot just yet. Look at that Rydal. Ooh.
Gets hooked in, gets knocked up as well, and it's actually the Jarvan forced a flash wave, but getting chased down. The dunk comes through. Ocelot actually survives the ulti, 1 for 0 so far. This could be good for Gamers too. JWoww tanks up everything and does not freaking care. Goes in on it. Hylissang, good damage comes through. Power of Evil forced to get zoned away. Vizichachi wants in though. Can he kill Rydal? That's going to be 1 kill picked up so far. And the chase on a JWoww. Can they pick up now onto this Maokai? Yes, they can. Now Vardogs goes in towards Yuki. Flash in, wards traded, and that is the team fight win for Unicorns of Love 2-1.
Yeah, Morden not being a huge factor in that fight. Ocelot helped with the first pickoff, but then from there, the fact that Gilius wasn't in might be able to give them a smite steal opportunity here, but Vizichachi running defense.
We're going to look at, yeah, Vizichachi really pushing everyone else away. Morden, they spot him on the red buff. They know they're going to be nice and safe there. And that is the Dragon now for Unicorns of Love. 5,000 gold lead. The fight was close, but the fact that Ocelot got pushed completely away was enough for UOL. And Vizichachi cleaned up.
Yeah, Vizichachi hitting those spikes where he joins the team fight, and he actually has a big impact in it now. Also, JWoww canceled his ultimate to try and just deal the damage from it, instead of keeping it on for the damage reduction. So Ocelot no longer deals any damage in this fight. JWoww walks up, and then he goes in after this, and then he'll pop his ultimate, even though he has so much mana left.
Oh yeah, wow, that really hurt his team right here.
Yeah, the fact that they start clumping up afterwards and he doesn't have that damage reduction still present is really big on the escape, because they just get cleaned up right after.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ocelot, you can see he's back there still trying to farm, still trying to be around the fight, but not in it.
I think JWoww thought they were disengaging. He didn't expect to get stunned again and re-engaged on, but that's what happened. Gilius gets charmed up. Good damage comes through from Morden, but the knockup gonna get Gilius to safety. Top lane not under any much more pressure. Oh, hold on, JWoww. Locked up a little bit. There's actually Hylissang going in. Box comes down, but he takes a lot of damage. The charm lands. Also gets the kill. Too aggressive by Hylissang. Now Vardogs gotta be a bit careful. There's the jump on in. Nice by JWoww, but even better escape from Vardogs. EQ gets Jarvan out of this fight, but here comes Rydal. There's the headbutt pulverized. No, knocked back by Buster Shot. Not going to pick up much. But the flash kick from Morden. Can they pick up Gilius? Can they pick up? Yes, they can. They're going to get almost everybody there. 3 kills picked up. Great stun comes out of Power of Evil, but still a fight for Gamers too.
The way the Unicorns of Love need to start these fights off is with a pick from Power of Evil, because he's just so strong. 4-0, 270 CS, and they aren't doing that. Gamers 2, instead, they capitalize immediately, and they're going to go for Baron.
Oh, what a tenacious play. 26.5 minutes in with the Baron going down. Gilius is not alive, nor is Vardogs. Very little teamfight power actually available for Unicorns of Love. Now, can Power of Evil do it there? Goes to the knockback, does stun up JWoww. Vizichachi does have flash, goes in, smited away by Morden though, but can they win this team fight anyway? Lantern comes out, not picking up much. Stun onto Rydal. But look at that, a pretty clean Baron.
Oh,
the Charm on the Power Heal, Rydell pops the ulti. He's going to survive the encounter just barely with the shield from Lee Sin. Gamers 2 get 4 kills and Baron, and they're back in the game.
That's the type of communication that Gamers 2 brought Rydell on for. The lack of hesitation, the flash, pulverize, and selflessness there to make that play against Power of Evil and give him his first death of the game is huge. I'm pretty sure they're saying, go now. Immediately, everybody followed up. Charm, pulverize, couldn't move there for Power of Evil.
Beautiful stuff then, man. Gamers 2, they looked a little bit outclassed early on. That top lane looked rough. The mid lane looked horrifying. And they were getting outplayed. But one really good team fight. Ocelot's back in this. Was 0-2-0, now 3-2-2. The Ahri's working out in the mid game, man. And the Maokai especially.
The adaptation here from Gamers 2 is exactly what they needed. It's kind of like when you see a composition, you have to know how to play your composition against it. It's like if a team takes a wombo combo, you're just like, all right, let's not group up and fight them 5v5. If you see a pick comp, let's not all be spread out. They have a team fight comp here with Gamers 2. They have 2 huge damage reduction tanks in Alistar and Maokai with a ton of CC. They need to just group up and fight and pick off Power of Evil with that CC before the fight even starts.
And honestly, it's working so incredibly well. And I don't even see what fallback patterns Unicorns of Love have, because I've yet to see Aurelia win this fight against Maokai. I thought that when UOL went hardcore for that bottom dragon and gave up top lane turret, it was like, oh, no problem. Vizichachi will just get that turret back anyway. Still hasn't. JWoww is actually completely dominating that lane. He's making the better plays in teamfights while still holding his turret alive, still holding up in CS. Actually has the turret lead because of the dragon from a while ago. And it's just great to see JWoww do this well.
I really like it too, because every time we see Gamers 2, we talked about like Yuki and Dude. Now we talk about Rydell. We talk about how good Morden is on Lee Sin and Ocelot. JWoww is kind of the unsung hero of the team, and a champion like Maokai is really giving him a highlight.
Yeah.
A really big spotlight on him in his play in this matchup against Vizichachi, who's no pushover.
No, he's definitely not. And the thing is, it's cool to see JWoww sort of, I guess, maturation as a player as well. I mean, I know he's really good. He's played League for a long time, but basically, he's a big, like, Aurelia, Renekton, like, I'm a 1v1 you fighter kind of guy player. And he's playing this teamfight utility support tank, and he's crushing a premier duelist in Aurelia.
And the fact that he knows Aurelia's champion
That's true.
and her kit a lot would definitely help, especially as a top laner. You want to know everything about the champion you're facing. Right now, Unicorns of Love, they've been relying on their map movements, their warding. You see the map right now, they definitely have ward dominance in a lot of the contested areas. But right now, I don't know how long that's going to last, because Gamers 2, they're now on duty.
Yep.
Ward sweeping duty.
Gamers 2 keeping the vision down as best they can, and honestly, they're setting up for this dragon here. 30 seconds till it respawns. Morden, nice ward over the wall. Doesn't actually spot out that pink ward just yet. Pings it, but...
Oh, he saw it.
All right, good. Well, he sensed its presence.
No, Lee Sin just had a miracle stepping into the river, and now he can see.
It healed him.
Yep. It's a healing river. It's a healing bush.
Okay.
Who was I talking to? They were like, they were explaining how new players don't always know the little nuances. It was Aaron, but he was saying, my friend was playing Garen, and he walked into a bush and he's like, oh, I started healing. So he thought it was the healing bush forever.
Oh, okay.
So even when he was low, he'd run across the map to run into the healing bush.
Into that bush.
In that specific bush.
Because he didn't realize it was the passive. Okay.
But the dragon being started up here, no
He
healing
doesn't heal
bush
people.
available.
No, he hurts people, sets them on fire.
The opposite.
He does really, honestly. You gotta be careful with that
And
one. There's
all
the
the way to
engagement.
the
Oh no,
back
JWoww inside the enemy team. And they're not gonna kill him very quickly. The Koling actually gonna push away the front line now. Hillsong does not land the hook. Q comes out from Ocelot. Doesn't mean too much just yet. UOL reset. But now the Maokai ulti's down for 10 more seconds, but UOL don't re-engage. They go for Dragon again.
Yep. Oh, Rydell going for the back line.
Flash pulverize, ulti
Power
pop.
Evil.
Power Evil tries to go on Morden, knocks him back, 2-man stun. Gilius gets exploded by Ocelot. The fight continues. Hillsong the forced away. 2 kills picked up now, and now Vizichachi also gonna fall. The chase continues. Morden very low, gets the summoner heal though. 3 for 0 for Gamers 2.
They just forced Power of Evil to use everything on Morden, which freed up Ocelot to wreak havoc on 3 members in the front. He's now 5-2-3 after being 0-2.
Beautiful stuff, man. Gamers 2 playing this so very well. Unicorns of Love do not seem to be able to navigate team fights. They play objectives really well. They play map awareness really well, but the fights themselves, they just cannot win them. I think a lot of this is the Alistar and the Maokai.
Yes.
They get in there and they cannot be dealt with by this team.
Yeah, the fact that your primary targets have so much innate damage reduction between their ultimates, it's so hard to figure out who to target. And it's like, all right, we want Lucian, we want Ahri, but you can't get to them. There's so much CC between those two frontliners that you really just can't.
Well, the really big problem I have as well is it doesn't fit Unicorns of Love's composition. So their AD carry is still weaker at this point. Hold on, let's watch the fight again real quick.
Yeah, Power of Evil at this point. He has Morden on him, and he tries to full combo Morden, but it doesn't work out. Morden runs away. He doesn't end up dying. Now, watch Ocelot. Completely free to do whatever he wants and be actually a frontliner and like mid-range mage because Power of Evil is so far out of the fight. That was thanks to Rydell's flash initiate from the Pulverize.
Yeah, and it was beautiful. There's a bunch of aggro frontliners that aren't being dealt with, that can't be dealt with. And they're just making Unicorns of Love waste cooldowns. Rydell pops an ulti, gets out. But what I was talking about before is the fact that Unicorns of Love, they're not playing to their team composition because they cannot win a team fight. Syndra is strong, but she's not going to team fight as well as Ahri. Tristana, I mean, a 3M is pretty good, but without a real front line, I don't think can really handle what Gamers 2 is throwing at them. Whereas they have this great pick potential of Thresh hooks and Syndra E's and whatnot. Like, UOL should be playing in front of brushes, not in front of a Dragon Pit in full view of everyone else.
Yeah, and also the fact that their ward control is something that they excel at. A pick comp is perfect for this if they can set up the right fights.
The problem is they're on top of the ward right there. There's the culling, and UOL forced to run away. They cannot pick up J1 here.
The wrong spot.
But there's Rydell with a three-man knockup. Gigantic damage. Ozla pops the Zonias, and there are 3 kills already picked up. Yuki pushed to safety, but no, that's actually going to be an Irelia in the back line. She does get a couple here, but Vizicachi, the only guy making any work right now, 4-2, and he does not have a way out of this one. Slow onto Rydell. Q's going to land, headbutt Pulverize. Still getting picked apart. Tries to jump in behind the turret. That's not going to be enough. Really cute plays with Vizicachi. Nearly kites away. Oh my god. Is he really getting away from this one?
Nearly kites away? I don't know.
Oh my god.
We're going to have to see.
Oh, dodges the Q. Holy crap.
And he's gone.
That is ludicrously impressive.
He just dove a turret and came out.
He dove a turret to escape.
Dove a turret.
Dude, that's
use the minions to get out.
That's a moral victory right there. I know you lost the fight 5-4-2, and you're about to lose Baron, but that's a moral victory for Vizicachi.
Man, you know he was thinking our outro song on that one.
I look good.
He did. He looked really good.
I wish I was that good on Irelia.
That was fantastic.
Now I know why I played that champion. I don't even care if you win the game anymore.
Just that play.
That's the game 1 MVP is Vizicachi.
Wow. So I was about to talk about it. Watch Ocelot's damage here, and Rydell the setup, boom, shredded completely across that front line, that back line, completely exposed. Gamers 2 catches Unicorns of Love on the retreat from that ward bush that they had in the try. That was incredible play there from Gamers 2. You pick off Power of Evil, Ocelot is completely free to do whatever he wants. And Vizicachi, this is style right here. Gets the reset off a caster.
Jumps to a melee. And now he just runs faster.
Yep. Because he ended up killing one, he also got like a little bit of extra movement speed, and he attacked one with Trinity Force. And the fact that Trinity Force gives you the passive move speed too.
Yeah, specifically activating the W.
Rydell didn't follow though. Rydell had Moby Boots.
Oh.
He does have distortion as well, which is immediately got that I think before the dragon fight, so that he would have the lower cooldown on Flash, so we could make Flash initiate plays like that.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty glorious. Also went for a Flash Charm to pick up Tristana in that last fight. Worked out really well.
Rydell's kind of the initiator that Gamers 2 needed.
Yeah.
The communication problem that he's supposedly solved.
Flash. Oh, he's too far. Power of Evil, really low on health, knocked back by Morden, who is getting hit by Tristana, though Vardox is safe right now in the back lines, and I do not see an ulti in from Maokai. 1 kill so far. JWoww also going to go down. He ended Vengeful Maelstrom really early that fight. and they got no damage reduction.
He's canceling his Vengeful Maelstrom too early, and he's trying to use it for damage when it should be used for just the duration utility of the spell, because the reason you get Rod of Ages and Frozen Heart for so much mana is so you can leave that on forever. And here comes the TP into the fight from Vizichachi to help get the Baron for Unicorns of Love, who just have map control of it already.
Well, Unicorns of Love now 1,000 gold lead. They've maybe clawed back in. Vizichachi make a move for this one. Does he feel that confident? Goes in, gets headbutted backwards.
Rest of the team is trying to follow up.
There's not much for UOL to go for. They can maybe push bot lane. That's the only place they can do anything with. But they're going to have Lucian there to clear the wave away.
And now all of Unicorns of Love are going to back and try to cash in on this. 1,000 gold lead for them, about 700. It's actually going down as that minion wave is being cleared. So it's 500. It's very, very minimal. But the temporary combat stats of the Baron are going to help Unicorns of Love out a bunch. Rydal starts the fight off right, but the big thing here is Vizichachi. He canceled it. Look at that, JWoww canceled it as Vizichachi was taking the Lantern out, and then Morden was too far forward. So what ended up happening, it was actually kind of a sneaky play, because your frontliners, usually when you have frontliners, they trade sides and they dive the enemy backline, but then the Lantern pulled Vizichachi back after he took the brunt of the damage from Gamers 2, didn't die, got sucked back, and then a hook came out to get Morden when he tried to retreat from the enemy backline. So Vizichachi made it to safety, Morden was attempting to, and he got hooked back.
So now I got to go back on things I was saying before, because I was like, man, JWoww learned how to play like a new champion, new class of champion, but he didn't play Maokai the way Maokai is supposed to be played in that fight, and that was the issue. The early end of the ulti. Vizichachi, however, went tanky. He realized these teamfights are happening whether he likes them or not, went to go itemize to survive these battles. Mert Treads, Banshee's Veil, Randuin's Omen, and now Vizichachi, as you mentioned, goes in the front line, takes a bunch of damage, Lantern's out. Vizichachi adapting to this game much better.
Look at this ward control from Unicorns of Love. All through that right side jungle. It's completely red right now. They see every movement from Gamers 2, and they out-rotate them here to get a free turret.
Bam, bot lane turret goes down. Unicorns of Love up 3,000 gold once again. We are going back and forth in this match right here.
This is just such a good match between these two teams. It really showcases Unicorns of Love's talent as a team and their map vision that we had talked about earlier on. Now, JWoww, he's going to have to keep his Vengeful Maelstrom on for a very long time. That's what you need to do as Maokai. Don't use it for the damage. The damage is very minimal. Use it as a finisher. Use it as something very later. But your job is to just soak damage.
Unless you're going to one-shot it from stop.
Exactly.
Like, that's the only person you should turn off your ulti for, is if it's going to kill the AD carry. But that is basically it here. Gamers 2 are playing defense here against Baron, but a lot of Dark Spheres on the ground now. Power of Evil wants the setup. Yuki playing a little bit aggressively. Banshee's Veil, fourth item.
JWoww really tanky too, especially against armor, because he has the Frozen Heart and also the Thorn Mail. But this turret goes down so quickly from Vardags at those 3 items.
And down it goes, 3.5. Actually, Ruin King coming up before too long, and again, I think that's a great choice as well. He's going to break through the really large front line of Rydal, JWoww, and Morden.
Yeah, look at that vision control from Unicorns of Love. It allows them to make plays like this where they can just rotate completely unanswered turrets. Bottom tier 2, top tier 2, and now they're going for this middle tier 2. And Vardags, he actually has a red pot on him because they're ready to push, they're ready to get these objectives for themselves and push this Baron buff.
See if they can make the play then. Baron over in about 35 seconds. They've got basically one wave left. Going to go for this right here. It's going to be Hylissang tanking up the turret aggro. Doesn't care too much about that. Down to half though. He's got to be a little bit careful. They're going to go for one more wave here, and Gamers 2 cannot stick around for this one. And then Unicorns of Love.
The scaling of Tristana is really kicking in right now. Despite being 120 CS behind Yuki, he is still very relevant.
Well, keep in mind, Yuki made a pit stop for an entire Banshee's Veil. 2,750 gold spent on not a lick of damage output. That's going to let you get back into a game sometimes.
Yeah, he's just trying to survive Power of Evil's burst, and then they think they can clean up the team fights from there. So Unicorns of Love now have like a 4K gold advantage, but it's maybe even more than that because of where the gold is allocated on Gamers 2.
Right, and that's really the big thing to look at is those AD carries. There's more gold available for damage items on Vardags, right? Even though he's down 2,000 gold, more than that was spent on the Banshees. Yuki's going to have less damage out, but he can buy almost a Bloodthirster. In fact, he probably just should go Ruin King to have better damage output right now when he does go back to 5. Cheaper items, worth more damage as well. But I think he needs that to surface. Interesting thing about this comp as well is Gamers 2 is actually a low damage comp. Lee not a high damage champion, Alistar definitely not, and again, Maokai is a tank here. I like the choice of Thornmail because they could theoretically play a slow team fight. Just absorb more damage the other team is dealing and slowly work their way through the battle with multiple sets of cooldowns.
Gah.
I just don't know if you can do that against Aurelia and Tristana.
I don't know.
I don't know if you can slug it out against
I think 330 armor is definitely going to help you.
It will, but you're still facing Ruin King Last Whisper. And true damage from Aurelia.
It's true, it's true. He's definitely going to be a little squishier than it appears. But these team fights, Unicorns of Love now transitioning into that late game. Gamers 2 though, really I think the big part is Rydal. What is Rydal going to do in the engage? How is he going to set up his team? Is it going to be a flash pulverize, headbutt somebody into your team? I mean, Morden can pretty much do the same play with his Dragon's Rage.
True.
If they can get Vardags out of the fight early, or Power of Evil, or get a multi-person pulverize like before, it could set up a team fight for Gamers 2 perfectly, which they typically have been winning unless JWoww cancels his Vengeful Maelstrom. That's really been the caveat here.
So can these guys get picks then? Both these teams have the potential to pick somebody off and make a lopsided battle. UOL staying still near the mid lane. Visit Chachi and JWoww dueling in the bottom side of the map. Baron up in 1 minute. Dragon soon to follow. These guys have slowed it down very heavily. They know one team fight is going to mean Baron and a whole lot of map control. These teams do fight very close, so one misstep could mean the game. Gamers
2, a lot of Baron control right now in terms of vision. 30 seconds on that. Some of them are back now and they're getting some items. Zhonya's completed for Ocelot. He can go a little harder now. He can also Zhonya as the Syndra ultimate. A lot of new options available for this team in the team fight. Bloodthirster completed on Yuki. Now the dance begins. The team that takes this Baron will most likely crack the other team's base. Get an inhibitor eventually.
Let's see what these guys have. One man stun, Banshee's broken, hook on a Rydal, already burned his ulti. That is an important cooldown gone. Only 20 CDR on items right now in his build. Yuki pops the ulti, does not get much damage in Hylissang. That's 2 ultis down now for Gamers 2.
Dragon up. Team might get baited into that, we'll have to see. No ultimate for Rydal. It's really big if he starts the engage of the fight.
He just rely on being a level 16 cow to maybe tank it up, but he has not bought any real tank items. There's the ping onto Baron. UOL know they have ward control. All the wards are swept away. Gamers 2 do not have a way of checking brush. They still have no sweeper.
JWoww has saplings though.
That is good. All right, they do have a way of checking brush.
They do see them with this ward off on the left.
Oh yeah.
We'll have to see. Are they going to start it up? They are going to start up the Baron.
There's the reveal. Vardags got to be careful. Hook lands on a mortar, but they're going to go in towards the front line. JWoww gets stunned up by Vizichachi. Knocked back by Rydal. 2-man knockup. Power of Evil loses all his health, and down goes the mid laner. The battle's begun. Vardags is safe in the back line again. The Maokai ulti is popped, but I don't know if they can tank through this anyway. Knocked back onto Aurelia. Vardags picks up Ocelot. Hylissang's still alive. The knockup again for Gilius. Morden takes a bunch of damage, but Vardags almost dies to the Kolek, and that is a 3-for-1 fight in favor of Gamers 2. That'll give them Baron.
They didn't even have to kill Vardags off of that, and they're going to get a Baron for this play. Great team fight there from Gamers 2. They come out on top for Rydal again.
They get the pick right on a Power of Evil. He did not get to ult. He did not have Zhonya's yet during that fight. He's only bought it now. And when the mid laner is deleted, there's no big threat anymore. The 300 armor tanks keep themselves exactly where they need to be in the front line, taking all the damage.
Yeah, and you can see right here that Rydal gets the perfect knock up there to start the fight off, and then it just really goes from there. Even though the Vengeful Maelstrom is used right there and it's just knocked off, just stops using it, they still clean up the fight. Power of Evil off of it, Ocelot can go crazy. He ends up getting picked up, but they zone everybody off of the Guardian Angel and they pick it up. Fantastic team fight there again from Gamers 2.
Beautiful stuff for Gamers 2 right now. Themselves up to the bottom tier 2 turret. They are feeling just great here. Moving on. Turret's going down. Set up for Dragon with themselves. 46 minutes, 30 seconds in. They are looking plenty happy. The gold is back to equal. They're going to be safe. Right now, bookkeeping for both teams. 2.5 minutes of Baron buff for Gamers 2. As they take down the buffs, they take down the jungle camps. And it's now up to G2 to get their minion waves in order and start their push. Unicorns of Love use what time they have with G2 back in base to push out just whatever they can. But they know they have lost a very important fight. Their damage threats need to be much more aware of Rydell's engages. That Cow has been all kinds of brutal this game. 0-1 and 14. I think that actually does give Rydell justice. 0-1-14, a pretty good score. Ooh, he lands the reverse Scar award too. That is a hard ward to put down. I've not learned that one. But that is a good ward. I like that ward. Props to Rydell for knowing that one. So Morden went on split push duty to go to the top lane. He's just fine with this one. And now G2 are grouping back up. JWoww pushed bot. And here comes the push for the mid lane.
We're gonna have to see what ends up happening here. Baron still on Gamers 2, still ready to go, ready to see it. Unicorns of Love, they still have that patented vision control of the team.
Yeah, they're actually watching the flanks pretty well of Gamers 2.
It's just the part where they're sieging up. Lots of CS on Yuki. He sold his boots for Zephyr.
You just baited me with that now. You know I hate that item.
So how do you feel about people selling boots for Zephyr?
Yeah, it's a bad choice. Buy a Phantom Dancer.
Now they're just going back and forth though, clearing the wave. Here's the thing though, is both these teams don't really have a lot of siege potential, but at the same time there's long-range wave clear from Power of Evil, and you also have the ranged wave clear from Vardax.
Yeah, it's making it difficult. And we know, like, over and over and over again, a pickoff absolutely determines who wins the fight.
Here's the thing, though. Lots of dive potential from Gamers 2 with their 2 heavy tanks.
Yeah, they
can take turret aggro.
Heck, they have
good
3 at this point.
That's true. Morden can also accomplish that.
Stun into Ocelot, not able to be followed up on. Rydell did not. Mikhail's Crucible, that's a good choice. Didn't need it. Another cooling comes out. Yuki used that basically on cooling to deal a little bit of damage every time. And Vizichachi is in stun range of anyone he goes for. He is hurt enough that the QE combo will stun his target. Hylissang down to half HP, has this movement speed available. JWoww gets hooked in. Is this the fight? He pops the cleanse, and no, he's okay.
He actually got Mikhail's. Rydell holds off from the hook.
I can't remember that name of that item very well.
Yeah, on the fly, sometimes it's difficult. Oh, Power Evil's caught.
That's the charm. That's the damage. Pops Zonius. He is so dead to Rydell.
He's gonna get set up for this, though.
Oh, he goes too early. The flash comes out, but the fight has begun. Vizichachi forced to get away from this one. Exhaust burned on Tristana. There's the engage on in. Maokai popping the Vengeful Maelstrom, though. Kill goes to the mid laner. Kill goes to the top laner. It's one traded back, though, as it's going to be Yuki falling down, and Vardog's in the back line dealing whatever damage he can. There out goes the jungler. JWoww still taking up whatever he can do here. Rydell, one hit from dead, and Vardog's is going to get Ocelot as well. Jumps in for JWoww. Can he get the damage? There's the engage, knocked back. Vengeful Maelstrom trades back, and it's 4 kills to 4 kills, I believe, in this fight.
They just go back and forth. The jungler and the support are the only people left on this map, and neither of them can accomplish anything. It was a dive by Gamers 2, but it goes even.
Wow. Ludicrous game right now. Let's watch that fight again.
They overchased this. Rydell didn't get the pulverize at the right moment. He mistimed it and used it too early, which allows Power of Evil to flash away. And then you see 2 members of UOL very, very low. Then they dive in. Vardax, completely untouched. Then they start going on him. He jumps away, and then they disregard him again. He's just pumping damage into JWoww right now. Gilius gets chased down by Morden, but at the same time, the fact they weren't focusing on Vardax, the one person on this team who is just pumping out so much consistent damage. Aurelia does some, but he's very tanky right now. Then there's Power of Evil with the bursty damage. Then there's Vardax. constant DPS, constant long-range DPS. If he's out of the fight, it still doesn't mean he's not contributing to it.
Yeah, it's true, and he's done a pretty good job of this one. Sells the Ruin King for Bloodthirster. I do think he needs more lifesteal because he's trying to fight a Thornmail Maokai. Although I think he needs the Ruin King damage output. I prefer he sell boots for this one, but this will actually lower his damage output a little bit. He will be actually worse at killing Maokai now, but he will stay alive throughout the fight. I want to know if this is actually going to be enough for him, though, because JWoww took forever to die last fight.
Yeah, well, it's Maokai. 6-item Maokai is really difficult to kill.
Yes, yes.
Sometimes you question if he even can die, but the answer is he has 4 times this game.
It's true.
6-item builds for pretty much everybody in the game, except for supports. This is 52 minutes in.
Yeah.
Winner of this game takes game 1 in a best of 3. And the loser gets very demoralized. It's a big thing in this.
Yeah.
If you lose, you can kind of feel your LCS hopes and your last couple of months of work in Challenger points slip through your fingers.
Yeah.
You don't even make it to promo tournament.
It's true. This is single elimination. You lose here, you are not in. Ulti popped by Rydal. Lantern comes out. Looks like UOL going to try to stay safe and join themselves in the mid lane here.
UOL,
Alistair, he's a killable champion.
That's true. That's true. He does have the Mikhails, so even another hook might not break that big health bar down. But look at all of these wards that UOL set up around the Baron way early. This team likes to think a minute and a half ahead. But are Gamers 2 even going to check it, or will they just rush down mid?
Let's see what we've got here.
Oh, they're going to go after JWoww.
Look for JWoww. Can they get the stun going through? There's the play to break the Banshee's Veil. Cullen comes across, barely deals any damage. Engage comes across. JWoww pops his ulti, though. Unicorns of Love, can they re-engage? Looks like they're going to back out for that one. But no, Maokai was maybe a fight they could look for.
The box being down is a huge peel tool on this team that is no longer available for Vardags.
Ooh, and the stun misses from Power of Evil. JWoww going to come back in. He has Vengeful Maelstrom back up. Charm misses JWoww down to about only 1,500 mana so far. He's actually lost a lot of his mana bar.
Yeah, we're going to have to see. He kept it on for a bit. He's been throwing saplings out. And they see them with the sapling.
They're trying.
That sapling just ran in place.
Oh, the flash engage! They catch Vizichachi, they catch Power of Evil. He's forced to Zonia's to take a Lantern out. Now, can they win this battle? Vizichachi, the front lines. Gilius gonna go down 1-for-0 so far. JWoww in the front, absorbing all the damage. Power of Evil gonna go down pretty soon. Vizichachi pops the Guardian Angel already does flash out, but it's 1-for-0 and GA down. Gamers 2 not even showing signs of slowing down. They're going to keep on moving forward. The tanky frontline is too durable to break through, and now goes the inhibitor.
Yeah, they're going to get this inhibitor for themselves and possibly sweep the Baron pit, which is really big because UOL love to use the vision game. 40 seconds on Gillies. They may even start it up here for Gamers 2 and attempt a Baron.
Here we go, man. G2 looking pretty good 55 minutes in. They don't necessarily need the gold of the Baron buff so much, but they could use the extra regen and the stats. But no, they're going to play risk averse. They're going to back up here. Unicorns of Love willing to go in. 4 versus 5. Ward's joining up soon. The flash across. Vizichachi takes the charm, though. He'll be okay.
Missed Pulverize there. JWoww, he wants to back because he has TP, and he can just TP back into a fight if it is available or if one gets started up. But look at all this vision control. Not going to stop the back because it's Banshee's Veil.
No stun for Power of Evil. Gamers 2 going to back out, though. Looks like they will stay safe, but this could be UOL doing a Baron, actually. They know to have recalled, I think.
Yeah, but at the same time, Gilius is nowhere near, so they have no smite available.
So they can't even try. Well, Yuki still is aware of the threat. They popped the blue trinket to reveal anyway, as Morden sweeps away some wards. Gamers 2 do not have great vision coverage. They spent a long time sieging. The wards pretty much all died right now on the map. I think there were literally 4 wards right now on the game.
Yep. It's very, very close to that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Boom.
You just counted more?
No, there's one right. The ones just got placed in the bush.
Oh, yeah. I missed this one down at the bottom of the screen right here as well. 1 in the base, 1 by Wolves, and then, what, 4 by Baron?
There's more now by the red side. Like if the camera went up right there, there's a cluster.
3 wards right there.
They gotcha.
Okay, 5 by Baron. It's close. Now can they engage? Bardog's out from the side. So far, fairly safe.
2K gold difference between these teams. Rydell, they might be waiting on his flash cooldown because his flash engages have been what have been starting fights off on the right people.
If UOL feel good about their 5-on-5, they could just go down mid and force the issue with their minion wave, but they are just very afraid of G2's engage. They're going to actually back up back towards their base. Gamers 2 once again own map control from this. A giant wave is pushing out of the bottom lane. Big one in the top lane for Gamers 2 though. So bot lane, top lane, different for these guys. Mid lane, of course, still the dead inhibitor. The solar power, strong for Gamers 2.
Yep. Or the magic.
Or the magic.
The magic has been unleashed.
JWoww goes in on a Halo-Song. Big damage onto Thresh. He tries to get away, pops the Talisman of Ascension, but goes down to Ocelot. It is a kill picked up now in G2 in a 5v4. Own control of Baron.
Yeah, usually you don't see a Thresh getting picked off from that bush. Usually it's Thresh picking other people off from there. But it gets completely turned around, and that's going to be a Baron for Gamers 2 quite easily.
Bardog's going to grab a red buff for himself, which is all you can really do for this one. But no push is available. They could have actually rushed down Dragon. Not that it would have meant all that much. They could have taken some minion waves away. But UOL only took a red buff for all the time spent on Baron right here. Gamers 2 already has mid and top in really good position.
And Rydell going to start leading the charge in this top lane. Baron on all 5 members of Gamers 2. They're looking to end the game. Death timers are really long. The team that wins this fight might just win the game.
Oh, it's going to be G2 in both those cases, I'm pretty sure. Top lane inhibitor turret goes down, engaged in a Power of Evil. He does zone it before the kick comes back, but Morden is still going to have that available. Damage comes through. Power of Evil just barely does go down to the red ticks. And now Vizichachi forced to run away. In comes Morden, gets a couple of slows down. That's 3 members dead of Unicorns of Love. Baron still on Gamers 2. And in a 58.5-minute game, they're going to claim this one. Bardog's Vizichachi going to be going down. 59-minute game now at this point, but that is game 1 here for Gamers 2, and Unicorns of Love are 1 game away from elimination.
And you can see how good of a team Unicorns of Love are, but also how good of a team Gamers 2 have become over time. With the addition of Rydell and his initiations, those team fights were their biggest parts. They were like, we're going to take 4 members off your team, we're going to lose 1. Things like that, those back and forths, and Rydell was really just the highlight of that game for me.
He really was, man. He did freaking awesome overall as that Alistair. Overall scoreline, 0, 2, and 22. We said maybe they're Gamers 3, but I think this proves they are still Gamers 2 actually with this one. The number synergy, pretty strong for these guys. 26 and 15, the overall scoreline. 82 assists on the 26 kills. More than 3 assists per kills. Gamers 2 was entirely about team fighting, and you saw how darn good those 5-on-5s were.
That's their win condition. With their team composition, they played to that strength, and I love that. And I said that Rydell was really the highlight of the game for me, just in terms of excitement, but in terms of like stepping up and being a really good player and just a source of strength for the team is really JWoww Ocelot. Ocelot was shut down 0-2 at the start, and then he ends up 10-5 and 23, 10-5 and 13. Sorry, and then you go to JWoww, who's 4-4 and 21. He was involved in 25 of the 26 kills that game.
Jeez.
Maokai, you want to be in the team fight
top lane
every time.
Just in general.
Exactly. As a top laner, having almost
94,
like really high 90s, like high mid 90s kill participation is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is absolutely insane, and huge props to him on that one.
Over 96%.
Yes. That is really ridiculous. As top lane Maokai, being involved in so many kills and showing up to every fight is just something that your team always wants.
Yeah.
He knows that he's not going to split push, so he's like, all right, I will be in the team fight. I'll group with you guys. I will TP in when I'm needed. And I really, really liked his play on Maokai. And you said it before that he stepped up because he was a Mundo player. He was an Aurelia player. He was the split push bully guy.
Yeah.
Now he's the team fighter, and it's really helped out because Rydell seems to be the team fight initiate guy.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Rydell was having problems where he would hook somebody and people weren't around. JWoww's always around now.
Yeah, he is. And it was glorious, man. And Morden as well at 5-1 and 11 on Lee Sin. He got that champion. To die only once as Lee Sin for as aggressively as he played, I think is also very impressive. I'm also impressed with Gamers 2's ability to play with basically only 2 threats. They basically only had 2 damage dealers there, but they focused their damage so darned well. Like, even though you have this Jarvan in the front line who had a locket of the Iron Solar, you've got this Aurelia who went Trinity Force into straight tank, basically the same type of build that JWoww went for on Maokai. One offensive item, Trinity Force versus Rod of Ages, into straight tank of Guardian Angel, Banshee's Veil, Randuin's Omen, like the normal stuff you're supposed to get, Thornmill in there as well. Just didn't matter. They just broke through those champions. Yuki had a great job in that game. I think ultimately selling boots for some kind of damage at least was an upgrade for him. Vardogs, I think the one change you have to make, though, is when you realize you're trying to break down a front line, you have to optimize your damage builds. And I think still having boots that late is actually a mistake.
Yeah, well, he went with Fury boots there, so he's...
Yeah, but you're not breaking things down.
That's true.
Like the thing
true.
is,
he doesn't have like an extra Phantom Dancer. He doesn't have even against this team composition. Maybe a Zephyr would be worth it with the amount of CC they have if you get caught.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's like, and I harp on item builds so much, but the reason I want to bring this up, and I think it's now more relevant than ever. I mean, it's a broken record, but it's important. You're playing a game with super tanks now, right? There's more than just Munin now in the game. There are these giant frontliners. Now, Gamers 2 played their fight so well. They said only 2 threats, giant frontline. We will focus on moving the frontline slowly forward. They weren't diving super hard. I mean, if they got initiate, they would go up to where the Alistar was, but you didn't see anyone running past the Alistar, going for Tristana by themselves. It was march the front line forward. So you've got a wall of durable guys. You must optimize AD carry DPS at that point. You must, or you will not kill those champions. As we saw, this was a 6-item Tristana who could not kill the front line because he's still got boots and he's still got a Banshee's Veil. And it's Bloodthirster, not Ruin King. That doesn't break down 6-item tanks. It doesn't.
Yeah, it was a little ridiculous how much they could soak up there between JWoww and Rydal on the Alistar Maokai. Yeah. It was absolutely ridiculous. And I also actually want to touch on Power of Evil for a second and the way that he was shut down, because he was 4-0 at one point in the game. He ended 5-5. Ridiculous difference there and ridiculous turnaround, because Ocelot was 0-2, 10-5 by the end of the game.
Yeah.
The way that Ocelot played, he's like, all right, I'm going to lose this matchup. He realized how much he was losing it. They took his turret, and then he just played safe, and then he would roam, but kind of on the backside of Power of Evil. Power of Evil would roam first, then they would collapse on that roam. And I really like that adaptation by Gamers too, to not just let Ocelot be the only one making a play, because he needed backup against that fed Syndra.
It was just a beautiful game overall. Gamers 2 truly deserved that win. They played phenomenally. A great team, and we'll see if they can close it out. They look very strong. We'll see if they can do it. Unicorns of Love were close in that game as well. They pulled a couple of leads themselves. Maybe they can make a couple of quick changes and pull it back in game 2. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, it's time for that second game in this best of 3 between Unicorns of Love and Gamers 2. The 2014 Challenger Series playoffs. We'll be right back. But here comes Rydal. There's the headbutt pulverize. No, knocked back by Buster Shot. Not going to pick up much. But the flash kick from Mordin. Can they pick up Gilius? Can they pick up? Yes, they can. Gilius gets exploded by Ocelot. The fight continues. He looks like they're forced away. 2 kills picked up now. And now Vizichachi also going to fall. They cannot pick up JWoww here.
The wrong spot.
But there's Rydal with a 3-man knockup. Gigantic damage. Ocelot pops the Zonias. And there are 3 kills already picked up. JWoww still taking up whatever he can do here. Rydal, one in from dead. And Vardogs is going to get Ocelot as well. Jumps in for JWoww. Can he get the damage? There's the engage. Knocked back. Vengeful Maelstrom trades back. Engage in a Power of Evil. He does Zonias before the kick comes back. But Mordin is still going to have that available. Damage comes through. Power of Evil just barely does go down to the red ticks.